underground tunnels that are under the schools, elementary, junior, and high schools all over the place. They exist everywhere. They lead to amusement parks, they lead to hospitals, cemeteries, schools, celebrity homes, psychic shops. They lead everywhere. Yes, there's every means of transportation. There's every walk of life. There's cities.
If you think being a floor installer is just a routine job, get ready to change your mind. I've spent years doing this work, and what I've seen behind those tiles and hardwood floors will make you rethink everything. It's not just a job. It's a struggle, a challenge, and sometimes a battle for survival. When I first started, I was just a guy trying to make a living. But over time, I realized that there's so much more to it. Every house, every job hides something unexpected. The floor you install may seem like just a surface, but it's a veil covering darker secrets. And let me tell you this, no job is ever as easy as it seems. I've got two guys with me, Juan and Amir. They came here looking for a better life, but the reality they're about to face isn't what they expected. Every day we race against time, taking on jobs that seem impossible, and dealing with clients who have unforgiving expectations. But the truth is, we're not doing it just for the paycheck. We're doing it for a bigger reason, to hope for an escape, to protect our families, and to build a future far from this life. And I'm not just talking about floors. In reality, every job we do feels like a war. There are houses that look perfect, but behind those walls, there's always something wrong. People think the future is simple, that we can keep doing this job forever. But we know it won't be like that. We're building something bigger, something that will allow us to change our lives forever. But until that moment, we have to keep fighting. Because in this game, only the strong survive. The truth no one wants to tell you? Nothing is as it seems. Every floor we lay is part of a world no one sees. Are you ready to discover what's really behind the job you thought was so simple? It was just a normal Tuesday until everything changed. I was finishing a small job when I got a call that would change my life forever. Jack, a guy I've known for years, called me with a job offer that made my heart race. "I've got something huge for you," he said. "You're the best and I need someone who can handle it." I walked away from the truck wondering what he meant. "What's so huge?" I asked. There was a pause. Then he hit me with the line, "A 10,000 square foot basement. The client is someone important, it has to be perfect." At first I thought he was talking about a rich celebrity, but then he dropped the bomb. "The client is D." I froze. I had no idea who D was. Music? Maybe. But I wasn't into that world. Jack knew I didn't recognize the name, so he explained, "Trust me, he's a big deal, not just anyone. This is a real opportunity." Suddenly, I was being offered a job by a celebrity I didn't even know. A 10,000 square foot basement. It was a huge job. It would take days, maybe a week. But it also meant a paycheck that could change everything. Juan and Amir, who were with me, were excited. They saw the opportunity. This could change everything. It could get us noticed, bring in bigger jobs. "We're in," Amir said, cutting me off. "Let's do it," Juan agreed. So, we were in. Jack confirmed the details and said something that stuck with me. "The faster you finish, the more you earn." That line hung in the air. The faster you earn. What did he mean? Something didn't feel right. D, a basement this big? The money? I was stepping into something that didn't sit right with me. Something I couldn't shake off. We finished the small tasks assigned to us, and were told to take a couple of days off before diving into the real work. It seemed like a break, time to recharge, prep our gear, and spend a bit more time with my family before the chaos began. But as the days passed, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. There was something about this job, something they weren't telling us. The secrets, the urgency, the high stakes. I wasn't okay with it. I tried to ignore it. After all, this job was important. It was our chance to change our lives. Doubts? They didn't matter. Then, the night before we left, I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was that damn call with Jack. The faster you finish, the more you earn. It was burning in my head. That pressure, that warning. It felt wrong. But what choice did I have? The team was ready. We had no other option but to move forward. But deep down, I knew there was something dangerous lurking. Something they weren't telling us. Would we regret it? Or were we walking into something much worse than we could have imagined? It wasn't just a job. It was the start of something I'll never forget and wish I'd never seen. That morning, we arrived early, ready to work. But what we found wasn't a normal house. It was a fortress. Massive walls, cameras at every corner, and guards at the gate who didn't just watch us, they stared at us like they were sizing us up. Their presence screamed one thing: no mistakes allowed. Then, it hit me. The silence. It wasn't peaceful. It was eerie. No birds, no sounds of life, just a heavy silence hanging like a warning. They told us to park by a side door, and before we even went inside, the orders began. Hand over your phones. Why? Why did they need our phones? Then came the bureaucracy. At first it seemed normal. Waivers, equipment responsibility forms, the usual stuff. But then I saw it. Pages of non-disclosure agreements. No photos, no talking, no telling anyone what we were doing or where we were. I glanced at my team. They were signing the forms without a second thought, laughing as if it was just another gig. But it wasn't. I could feel it deep in my gut. Something was wrong about this place. "Don't worry," one of my guys said, handing me the form with a smile. "We'll be fine." I wanted to believe him, but I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into something we shouldn't be. I signed anyway. What choice did I have? But as I handed the papers back, one thought crossed my mind. What kind of place needs this level of secrecy? And what happens to people who break the rules? We'd been hired for a job, just a regular renovation, or so we thought. But what we ran into that night wasn't normal. It was a nightmare waiting to unfold. The villa was a palace of perfection. Polished floors, sparkling chandeliers, priceless works of art everywhere. But beauty is a mask, and this place was hiding something. Something chilling. Then they led us downstairs. The air grew cold, so cold I could see my breath. The hallway stretched on endlessly, narrow and dark, as if it was swallowing us whole. And then I noticed it. No cameras. Everywhere else in the house, cameras were watching us, but here, nothing. Just silence and shadows. At the end of the hall, we found a space that seemed wrong. Bare walls, concrete floors, and an emptiness that gave me chills. That's when they brought in the bags, heavy black duffels. The smell hit me first. Rotting flesh, the kind of stench that turns your stomach. But it wasn't the smell that froze me. It was the labels. Each bag had a name, human names. I looked at my team. Their faces told me they were thinking the same thing. What have we gotten ourselves into? But we couldn't ask questions. The guards were watching us with cold, empty eyes. They told us to lay the tiles, to cover the bags. And so we worked, the weight of the bags pressing down on us in more ways than one. Each tile we laid felt like a nail in a coffin. The stench didn't go away. It clung to us, suffocating and unavoidable. I wanted to scream, to run, but fear held me hostage. What was in those bags? Who were they hiding down there? When we finished, I couldn't shake the feeling that we had just helped bury something evil. Something that would haunt me forever. It wasn't just a basement, it was a tomb, and we had helped dig it. At first, it was just another job. But as we worked, a chilling question kept creeping into my mind. What was in those bags? They weren't just heavy, they seemed wrong. Why were they buried under the roof tiles? Why was no one asking questions? We didn't dare speak. The fear was thick in the air, choking us like the heat of the sun above our heads. Every hammer strike on the tiles felt like sealing something we weren't supposed to see. Was it evidence? A crime? Something worse? The hours dragged on, but we worked faster, not for extra pay, but because we needed to leave. The place felt cursed, as if it was alive, watching us. Even my team could feel it. Their hands moved quickly, Their faces were pale. The silence was deafening, but our thoughts screamed louder. What were we a part of? Were we hiding something evil? Every tile we laid seemed to whisper, "You shouldn't be here." In the end, we never looked back. The job was done, but the fear stayed with us. Whatever was buried under those tiles wasn't just hidden, it was meant to stay that way. What happens when a job offers you more money than you ever imagined? When the price is so high that it seems impossible to turn it down? We found out, and the truth is that no amount of money could cover what we went through. We were there, in that luxurious villa surrounded by wealth none of us had ever seen. In the end, they paid us. A lot. More than we ever thought possible. But it wasn't just the money that weighed on us. It was the weight of terror. We took the money but had no idea what it really cost. There was something dark, something dangerous, hanging in the air. The feeling that we were involved in something we should have never seen. Something that was changing who we were. The money was good, but that feeling of having crossed a line, a boundary we could never go back from, I'll never forget. It was like we'd taken part in a sick game we should have never played. Some jobs change you forever. Some money doesn't just buy you things, it steals your soul. And when you look at what you've done, you wonder if it was really worth it. If you had been in our place, would you have run away, or would you have accepted? It's been weeks since we finished the job, but the feeling has never gone away. That house, that basement, those suitcases, everything kept haunting me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw those black bags. I could still smell the scent of death clinging to me. Every time I thought I was free, something pulled me back, like an invisible thread tying me to that damned villa. We got the money, but none of us knew what to do with it. I didn't want it anymore. I couldn't look at those numbers on the paper without thinking about how stained they were. Yet the more I tried to escape, the more I realized there was no way out. The fear was always there, at every corner, with every step. Every day, the weight of that decision crushed me more and more. We had become part of something we should have never touched. Maybe we'd turned a blind eye for the money, but we had no idea that what we had seen was just the beginning of something that would slowly consume us, like a silent disease growing in the dark. You can't escape what you've done, and that awareness tore me apart. We had taken part in something that went beyond any understanding. Every step we took, every day that passed, we understood more and more. There was no way to go back. Once we were in, it was too late. The game was over, but the price had just begun.